Welcome to the U-Turn podcast. My friend, this is Ashley Stahl. I'm your host, and you are in the right place if you're ready to create a business, a career, a personal brand, or just a life that you're so proud of. And every single week, we want to support you by bringing you PhDs, subject matter experts, psychology practitioners, business leaders, all here on the show to elevate your success in business and also in life so that you can leave a legacy, you can amplify your authority, and you can really skyrocket the amount of opportunities you're creating for yourself in your career, whether you're corporate or you're a business owner. And if you are new here, again, my name is Ashley Stahl. I'm an international bestselling author of the book U-Turn, Get Unstuck, Discover Your Direction, Design Your Dream Career. And most importantly, I'm the CEO and founder of Wise Whisper Agency. I'm a top 100 TEDx speaker on the internet, and I was so inspired to create Wise Whisper and help clients craft their signature talk. We've helped hundreds of clients craft their talk, and we've also helped so many of them land spots on some of the biggest stages in the world, including the TED and TEDx stage. And so I am here on a mission to help every changemaker I know impact millions. Also, before we get into this episode, shout out to our friend Andy B. Mackin, the artist that has gifted us this sick new music for the podcast. Let's get into this week's episode. Okay, U-Turn friends, today I'm bringing someone special on the show, someone who has so many skills, and some of them that I particularly love to talk about. It's Kelsey Murphy. She has a podcast I originally met her through called Whiskey and Work, and I just was on it for my second time for years. She's a business coach. She's a life coach. She's worked with Fortune 500 companies, Facebook, Twitter, and also industry thought leaders. Whether it's Marie Forleo and her B-schoolers, celebrity nutritionists, coaches, just really brilliant humans that create meaningful businesses and lives. And she's been featured all the places, the Forbes, the Business Insider, HuffPo, Living Healthy, LaurenConrad.com. I could go into a total spiral about the hills right now, but I'll just leave that right there. And when she's not coaching, you can really, find her just having beautiful guests on Whiskey and Work podcast, which I totally encourage you to check out. She's very wise, she's very comical, and she's also very tactical, which your girl loves some freaking tactics. So today we're going to talk about messaging, wording. Kelsey's working on a certification she's going to have coming out into the world. And at Wise Whisper Agency how much we care about messaging and wording. So without further ado, Kelsey, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. It's been so long, so I'm so excited to catch up and talk about all the things. And it's so fun talking with someone that you're like, dude, I've seen our businesses grow for the last 4, 5, 6 years. And when you get to see the inside of an entrepreneur's business and mind and have those conversations, it's just such a gift. You're like, oh my gosh, so neat. So thanks for having me.
I was just thinking about that. How long have you been podcasting for?
So I've probably been podcasting for about 4, maybe 5 years, not that long. So I've been in my business for about 10. And I remember the first couple years, instantly people were like, get on a podcast, do a podcast. It was all the rage.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm fine. And it wasn't until I went to this conference up in San Francisco. It's called Wisdom 2.0, and it's all about mindfulness and all the things, I went to go see John Kabat-Zinn or someone like that. And there was someone speaking there. His name's Leo Babauta, and he has this minimalism blog. It's called Zen Habits. And I loved it so much that I stood in line to go talk to him. And the second I finally talked to him, and I actually stood in line this whole time to talk to him, he had to leave. I didn't even get a chance to. I was so bummed. And I was sitting in the lobby, and all of a sudden in the lobby, the person sitting behind me with his wife was Leo. And I turned around and I'm like, I don't want to interrupt, but I just want you to know how much I just love what you teach. I love the way you teach your children. I love the way you talk about your wife. I love everything about it. And he was like, oh my gosh, so cool to meet you. And we struck up a conversation for 20 minutes. And by the end, he was like, well, how should we stay in touch? And I was like, well, you should come on my podcast. And he was like, amazing. I'm happy to. Here's my personal number. And I walked away being on cloud nine and telling my husband, so I have to start a podcast. And he was like, I'm sorry, what? And I'm like, I have no podcast. I need to start
I
one.
have a guest.
Yes, I just got the number
Oh
of
my
Leo Babauta
God.
and I have to do it. And it was like, that was the fire that was like, good conversations, connecting with humans is like what made me actually start the podcast. It wasn't my business. It wasn't that it was going to make money. None of that was like enough of a fire. It was like you can have an hour-long conversation with someone you really respect and admire. It was like, okay, I guess we're starting a podcast, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I love this so much. I feel like this mentality is not for everybody, but you see it in a lot of entrepreneurs where it's like build the plane while you fly it. And
Yes.
I've always been that way. And I was in a relationship with a guy who always used to tell me like you move faster than anyone I know. And it's like it's almost like as helpful as it can be debilitating because I
Yes.
want to execute. I want to get things done. I will commit out loud to something and I will back it and go do it. And so I guess one of the things that I struggled with, and I think a lot of people do, is just like shiny object syndrome. How do you choose when you're actually going to do a thing? And what would you say to so many of your clients in business and life when they are working through their options? Like, where do you guide them to start making those better decisions?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's such a good question. Also, because I am a mom of three children and they just freaking run my household, right? Like I have an 8, a 4, and a 2-year old. Like I am in the trenches with these children. Like just it's bananas. It's absolute chaos in my house. And my whole goal of building my business was to be able to be at the zoo field trips, be at drop off and pick up, not because like I always want to, but because I have always have the option to. Like I never want to be working more than 4 days a week. Like I never want to be working past 1:32 p.m. Like those things give me the option to play. And right now, like my work schedule, I was telling someone this summer, like I made the most money I did in business and my work schedule. I worked 2 hours a week in the summer. Like that
Mhm.
was it. And I honestly looked forward to them, quite frankly, because at a certain point you crave it, right? Like you're like, I need my people. But I wanted that freedom when I had kids to have a really light summer, you know, or to have a really light December or something like that, right? So in order to do that, I had to create such a clear system to be so dang focused on
Mhm.
what are the very simple things you need to have in your business to build the highest profit margin, right? The most lucrative business that you can with the most minimal amount of time that you still believe in. Like
Yeah.
you can do that, but like you if you can sometimes do it, but then all of a sudden you fall out of love with your business because you're not doing it when it's something you're passionate about. Or maybe it's something you're passionate about and you're making a lot of money, but you're so overwhelmed and overpacked, right? Like there's usually one of those things that's missing. But if you can be so focused and you can teach yourself what are the important priorities and really, really stay in that zone, I feel like that's when you end up building the thing you really want to build, right? So for me, like long way to a ham sandwich, the system that I use for that is really, really simple. I build out a 3-year manifesto.
Mm.
I sit down, I take some time, I transplant myself to that 3 years, right? I root myself in how old I am, how old my kids are going to be. Like I am transported there and I envision the most epic day. Like, what does that day look like? What do the sheets feel like that I wake up in? Like, I usually joke that like my husband and I are giggling and telling each other a dirty joke and like starting the morning with like lightness and laughter, you know? And we have this epic relationship no matter how crazy the kids are, right? And then I sneak down and I make my favorite cup of coffee from Phil's. Like Phil's is my favorite. And so I'm pouring some filtered soul through our French press. Like it's like vividly envisioning what that day is. And then I go through the process of envisioning what my clients are like. What kind of programs do I have going on? What does my bank account look like? Where am I going and donating money to that day? Like, what does that day look like? You know, I'm usually playing pickleball and like things like that are happening throughout my day, right? So I root myself in this 3-year manifesto. And so I think this is the piece that people miss is like we build these visions or we build these manifestos and then they just either live on our wall or they live as this dream. And I'm like,
Mhm.
no, no, I use that thing to make my weekly schedule every single Monday. So
Mm,
when I am building out then my plan for what I focus on, I reread that manifesto. It probably takes me about 5 to 7 minutes to reread it. And I am instantly rooted in what is important and what I'm building. Like
mm,
I'm not getting drowned in the about page. I'm not getting drowned in the one Instagram thing that I have to put out there. I'm rereading where do I really want to go in 3 years? And then all of a sudden I build my schedule around that. I think Mondays and mornings are my golden time. So all my Mondays and my mornings throughout the week are where I put the most important things. And then I pepper in everything else. Other things, I got to pay some bills. I got to do some laundry. I got to do some things to run the trains of my business right now. But those things come after the most important things that are going to build towards that 3 year goal. And I
mm,
think if you get in that system and that routine, you train your brain to only focus on things that are building the ideal life you want. And my ideal life isn't like a bajillion dollars and standing on stages all around the world.
yeah.
That's just not my dream life with 3 kids. My dream life is like, making the 7 figures, but being the room mom and feeling super chill about that and not overwhelmed. And so that's the like dream life that I started building many, many years ago that ended up getting me here.
Mm. Okay, I feel like one thing that I personally navigate with what you're sharing around like writing out a vision, I feel like I'm really in touch with visions that feel good and possibilities. Obviously, what comes up, and I'm sure this comes up for life coaching clients for you, is just like worthiness, like, whoa, that's a pretty awesome vision. Like, do I even deserve that? So that's, one thing that I think a lot of people might think about. But the other thing, and I don't really know what I'm really asking in this other thing, which is I had this weird moment recently where I found a journal. I was living in New York when I had that journal. I was living in Miami when I had that journal. I was living in LA when I had that journal because I'm a fair weather journaler. Like I pop it open when I feel like it. So
Yep.
some months it's every day, some months it's once a month. And I looked back in the journal and I was like, holy shit, I'm literally repeating the same vision over and over. And it still feels really far away. It still feels, and so sometimes I feel like, man, and I think a lot of people probably feel this. It's like, am I just delusional? Like, I just want this vision. You know what I mean? Like, what do I do? And it's not that I'm afraid to take action. I take action, and the chips just are going to keep falling where they're going to keep falling. So, yeah, like any feedback just for around worthiness and around stuckness, like for people who, especially if they hear this in, 2025, the new year, it's like there's a lot of feelings of stuckness.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that you can go back and look at your journals. I have the same thing with my 3 year manifestos. So I always do them in a Google Doc. Like I'll kind of like jot things down, like write with my hand because like it to be cathartic. But I always end up putting it in a Google Doc because every week I'm going in and I'm editing it a little bit. I'm like, oh, I took action on that. And I learned I actually don't want that giant backyard over there. I actually want a wellness backyard. And now that I've learned that, like I refine the dream, right? I refine the vision. But it was really funny because I went back and looked at one of my visions that was like, or one of my manifestos that I built actually when I was in Bulgaria traveling probably almost 10 years ago. And I still
Mm,
have that one in like a Google Doc, right? And I pulled it up and I read it. And what's really interesting is there are certain things on there that I have blown out of the water,
mm,
right? That like visions and dreams that I was like, oh my gosh, I have surpassed that so hard. Like, I remember in my coaching business, I was like, to hit 200 or 300K would be a fucking dream. I'm so sorry. I probably
yeah.
shouldn't say
No, say
curse words,
whatever
but
you want.
okay. I'm like, oh Lord, I shut the door for 1 second with my children and it all starts coming out. But like, like it would be the dream to make 300K. Like that felt so far for me. And now here I am completely surpassing that, like leaps and bounds, right? But there are also things in that vision that I haven't touched that
Mm,
now that still feel like they're on my 3 year vision now,
mm,
right? That I'm like, man, I have not gone after that one and I really want that one, right? And deep down, like, why haven't I gone after that one? What's happening with me? Is it a personal thing? Is it something that wasn't meant for me this last 10 years and I achieved all these other things? But one thing I think that can help us to really get clear on why that hasn't happened is from operating from this sense of like a full cup, highly abundant, right? And the only way we do that is by recognizing all the things that we have accomplished and we have surpassed. And
Mm,
I think that as achievers and as highly ambitious women, we are so quick to jump to, what do I want to do next? Like, what problem do I need to solve? Because it's fun and we're good at it, right? So it's like, what do I need to do next? What do I need to do next? And we skip the part of, what have I already done and surpassed? And so
mm,
our neural pathways all of a sudden are wired to think, need to do more, need to achieve more, need to focus on what I can do to be better, instead of stopping and being like, holy cow, I'm crushing it. Holy cow. Like, so if we can rewire that and add that piece of celebration and acknowledgement into our brain and neural pathways, we will get so much more clear on not only where we want to go, but why we haven't achieved that one specific goal. Is it worthiness? Is it something we need to do with our life coach or therapist? Or is it that we actually just have been too scared to put ourselves in that circle of people that we know that will get us there? Is it that we're too scared to make the pitch? And you know what? I'm going to go make that pitch today. Like, it will get so clear because we'll operate from this place of, look at how much I have done. I could do this if I wanted to, you know?
mm. Okay, I love the idea of you surpassing things. And I think that this is a very real thing is that we keep moving the goalposts of our life and it's really, really hard to be happy and fulfilled. Um, can you tell me a little bit about with clients, like how have you helped ground them into what they have? I know that it could be easy for us to be like, be grateful. But it's sometimes easier said than done. So
Yeah.
yeah, just some curiosity on how you anchor that.
Yeah, for sure. So what you'll notice, it'll be interesting when people are listening to this, what time of year it is, because at least for me, I notice that some points of the year when I'm like in my zone and I'm on top of the world, or something outside is happening, like these outside variables are happening that like get me in my flow. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm crushing it. Maybe I just like closed a really big client, or I launched a program that's doing really well, right? And I'm like super positive. I'm like noticing all the things that I'm doing well. And then all of a sudden there are these other points of the year. And honestly, it happens a lot in summer and in like holiday time for me, where it's like, all of a sudden it's like I've forgotten all of those things and I'm just constantly focused on what I need to be doing better, and everything feels like a struggle and it feels so overwhelming, right? And what I do now is I try to notice and be aware of when that dip is going to come for me. Like, if I have a big launch coming, I know I'm going to be so excited at the beginning of the launch and so excited at the end of the launch, but I know in the middle, I'm going to be like, what am I doing? It's
Yeah.
going to be really quiet. Like, I already know that from experience. So if you can anticipate when you're going to have these dips, you can then set up more tools and systems for yourself to operate at that highest self, right? So I know when I'm having like a really hard time being a parent, or it's like December and I'm trying to go to 700 Christmas parties and like try to be healthy to my body, try to not miss all the people that aren't still here on earth. Like, all these things are happening in December inside my brain and body. And so I am not telling myself I'm doing a great job. Right.
Mhm.
I just am not telling myself that often in December. So I have to put tools in place in order for me to recognize I'm doing a great job. And I think gratitude is amazing and it has its place for sure. But
Yeah.
what I notice, especially for highly ambitious people, and this happens a lot with women, is we're really quick to be grateful. We're not really quick to acknowledge what we are doing well. And
Mm.
so instead of the gratitude practice, I will tell my clients that at the end of the day, you have to pull out your iPhone or your phone, or you can pull out a journal if you want, but usually you have your iPhone on you all the freaking time. So pull that out. You're not allowed to think about your to-do list or what you're going to do the next day until you write down 10 things you did today that you are proud of.
Mm.
And usually, and I just did this with my daughter. Oh my God, I just did this with my daughter the other night because she was having such a hard day and she was being so hard on herself. And I had also, yelled quite a bit that day. And I was being hard on myself. I was like, great, I'm a bad mom. And she was like, I'm a bad
Oh.
daughter. And we laid in bed and we were just feeling crummy. And I just like looked at her and I was like, you know what? when I feel like this at the end of the, because I was instantly like, well, okay, I like ordered a parenting book on Amazon and like texted my parenting coach and was like, I have so many questions for you tomorrow, right? I'm already like, how can I be better? How can I be better? Instead, I just looked at her and was like, so this is what I do. This is what I know I need to do right now, and I don't want to do it. I need to come up with 10 things I did today that I am actually really proud of. And she
Mm,
was like, oh, okay. And she was like, let's do it together. So one by one, we held up our fingers and we said, what is one thing we did that was good? And what normally happens is you can list off two or three things because you're like, yeah, I finally took care of those Christmas cards. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I did call my mom and I said this. And you get to about three and you notice you stop and you're like, I can't come up with 10. And what's happened is we have trained our brains to only see these big, giant things that we do well. And we're missing these micro moments of the day that we're doing really beautiful things. You're like, you know what? I could have gotten triggered by that one comment someone said, but I didn't. I had empathy for them. And I thought they're doing the best they can. And then I shifted into this zone. And we don't realize what a good job we actually are doing because we've done so much work and we've come so far. Or we're struggling because we miss, I miss my dad who passed away this in the last year. And it's like you've been doing a really good job of holding that space for yourself. And like small Kelsey probably misses her dad a little bit right now. And I'm really proud of you for holding that space for her, right? And you
mm,
get through those 10 and then you just breathe and you say, oh my God, I am doing a good job and I can do even better tomorrow. And so you go into tomorrow to work on the next goals from this place of self-love and it shifts everything in your brain, you know?
I love this so much. Okay. So we've talked a lot about like reflection, worthiness, vision. Um, it's interesting. I met somebody once who told me they don't like to have a vision because they get attached to it and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
in the way of what they really want or need to have. Do you have any thoughts on that? And then I want to pivot into actual like making money, which is a completely different energy about.
Yeah, for sure. So I will say this is why I do my vision in a Google Doc because I think that, and everyone has a different belief on like visions and manifestation and things like that. But like I believe my job is to put something out there on paper and get as specific as humanly possible. Like I want $3,400,000 in my bank account, right? But it's to put it out there to clarify in my brain where I want to go. And then it's in an editable Google Doc. Because in 1 week, if I really take action on something, I will learn so much more. I think you're the one that says clarity comes from engagement, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so the more you take action, the more you engage, the clearer that vision becomes. So you put a vision out there, and then when you go and you take action, you go to the next week, you go and you tweak it, you clarify it, you edit it, right? So I would have this living, breathing document. So for people that are creating the vision, you need to look at it as a living, breathing vision that's going to show up with so much more clarity and probably so much more than you could possibly imagine once you have it out there and you start heading towards it, you know?
I love that. Um, I feel like a lot of people, they sit in the vision, whatever relationship they have with it, whether they're, processing worthiness, they're processing it's not happening yet, stuckness, like whatever aspect is present. But one of my favorite things that I kind of touched on with you is action. And I love to get a move on. Like I love to do what I need to do to get what I want to have. And I think there's so many people out there doing the things we want to do and creating a playbook for us. So I want to speak now to the people who maybe are starting a business or scaling a business. Um, you've coached so many different people. Like I know, people in Marie Forleo's programs, for example. And I would love to hear a little bit about where you see things going as far as the best ways to generate leads, close more sales. Like, what are the strategies that you're enjoying hearing about, seeing, or recommending?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love this. And I am similar to you in the fact that like it's hard to stop me from going into action and tactical and planning and like building the rocket ship. Like I as soon as I go there, I always have to be like, hold on, Kelsey, take one step back. You know you can build 75 rocket ships. Which one is the right one for you? Right. Like so, but I love, love, love building and building from a very strategic standpoint. And I'm a numbers person, man. Like when I am building out like my revenue goals, I always have a backwards calculator of like, okay, if you want to hit this number, what's the average conversion of how many leads you need to bring in order to hit this number in between? Like, and I can nerd out about that for so long. And it's often something I think people ignore, right? Like they put the big vision out there, they start heading towards it. But I'm like, well, what are the numbers? How do we really get there? Like, because it does help you focus on like, okay, if I want to hit 1 million or I want to hit 100K, like how many people do I need to speak to that are going to convert into those things? And if you're thinking you need to speak to 100, but then you look at the benchmark conversions and it actually is 1,000, you're going to change what you do that month, right? Your to-do list all of a sudden changes, right? So I think that that's really important when you're building that plan. But back to what you're asking, what like tactics and strategies am I excited about? Am I seeing working out there right now? So, I mean, especially with the world of AI right now, which like I love AI. I think there's so many cool things about it. Like I am like in a relationship with my chat GPT, right? Like that thing knows so much about me. Like, and I think that there's a really cool way to use it and for good, really for good, right? But that being said, I think there's such a way to differentiate what you're doing, how you're getting leads, how you're closing people from other people that are going to be using AI out there more and more and more frequently. And I think you're going to see it more in copy. I think you're going to see it more in sales pages. I think you're going to see it more in pitches because it's easy. It's really easy to go ask ChatGPT, like, hey, I want to pitch this coaching program. Can you build me out like a system or a way to do it, right? So what I'm really personally fired up about and what I have seen work like bananas this last year with the introduction of AI is writing and messaging and writing emails and content and speaking in a way that is really based in stories. Like
Mm,
really based in telling these stories that create these emotional triggers, these emotional connections that allow people to feel less alone, to allow them to feel seen and heard, and then allow them to take action. Right.
mm,
When you feel less alone, when you feel like you connect with somebody, like if you just think about like an email you're reading and someone tells you a story and it's about how they went, like to go pick up their kid or how they, stumbled upon this coffee shop or how they were traveling in Brisbane or whatever it is. And they're telling you this micro moment of their day and they're describing those things. And then they pull it together with like, and it made me feel like I was faking it to make it. And it made me feel like no one knows inside that I have no idea what I'm doing. And it made me, and they're sharing these moments that they're having throughout the day that connect with people in this emotionally raw way. And that actually converts people to feel like that they've built a trust. They've built a connection because they understand this person on a deeper level. That is honestly what is working the best when it comes to sales and marketing because people want to feel seen and heard. They want to feel connected. They want to build that trust. And I think in the right hands, and I work with a lot of coaches, right? And my coaches are like salt of the earth humans. Like
mm,
when they are learning these skills about how to copyright and story tell through these beautiful micro moments, they are converting people into high paying clients. And I
mm,
think you shift people into conversions and actions when you connect with them in these beautiful emotional ways, right? It's the highest form of empathy that we can show someone is that I see you. I get
mm,
you. And by sharing our own stories, right, we can connect with them in that way. And what I've seen in the last year, and you and I know we're very lucky to have a lot of entrepreneur friends that are doing very well right now. I think I have seen people do really poorly this year and have a struggle with the hardest year they've had in business. And I've also seen people crush it and blow it out of the water. And I'm very lucky. Like we had our biggest year in business this year. And I think the difference is there are people that are really doubling down on like sharing their own personal experiences, sharing their own stories, and taking those things, putting them into copy that makes people feel connected, less alone, like it's emotional resonance, right? And I think that that's going to be a big difference of what you're going to see this year. People that are willing to do that versus people that are kind of using AI and it stops there. You will feel that and see it in content, and
Mm-hmm.
you will feel it and see it in your bottom line of revenue, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So we live in a world where a lot of companies, like, you can't really scale unless you have paid ads. And ads are really about, and for those of you listening, maybe you have an organic business. Maybe you speak on stages, like a lot of clients come to us for offers around that. And you convert the audience to work with you. And maybe that's what you do every month. Maybe you're a coach and, you speak once a month and you get 2 clients a month and it's 5K a client. That's what you're up to. But you've probably seen people scaling really big, and the secret is not really a secret that that's usually paid advertising. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when you pay for ads on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, whatever, wherever. Um, so I'm curious, like, if you're making an ad, it's about resonance, it's about connection, it's about getting people to move. And I know there's many different ways to think about it, but where does your head go if you were going to create an ad or a message to, like, really lock in with your customer and get them to want to work with you?
Yeah. So, we've done a lot of testing with ads this last year just to see what works, right? So, there is this sweet spot of calling out like a specific problem that someone wants to solve that's like a level 5 problem, not like, hey, I like to feel less stressed, right? Like that is a big generic problem. What is a specific problem? Like talking to you, it's like, I want a TED talk and to get on stage and to have the talk of my life, right?
Yeah.
Like a specific problem or a specific dream that they have, like very specific. So there's a sweet spot of finding that and connecting it with a story or a message or a trust that feels emotionally resonant.
Mhm.
Right. So those two pieces, I think, have been the sweet spot for us when it comes to ad. And that connective piece, that storytelling piece, like when I share things about, being pregnant and working with Marie Forleo and what I was able to achieve in that way and what it was like to be a mom with 700 things and a baby on my boob and how I did it. And then I'm going to share the exact steps of how we hit that first 100K launch. Like those are resonant ads that make people be like, dude, okay, she's going to tell me about the baby on her boob and doing the job because that's what I need to know how to do. Like I'm not willing to give up this other piece of me. And she's telling me not only about like, oh, I was a mom and I built a business, but like I literally had a baby on my boob while I was texting Marie at 11 a.m. in the morning and I hadn't eaten yet. And I had this moment of realizing what, right? Like, so there is this emotional piece that I feel like people are leaving out because they're going straight to the chat GPT. What's the headline that will sell? What's the thing that's going to convert people, right? And like some of our best ads are like when I have no makeup on and I'm
Yeah.
sitting there, right? Like everyone knows statistically those are going to perform the best, but there's something about our ego or something about us that is like, almost scared to go in that direction. And I'm like, you don't have to tell your most vulnerable story. You don't have to say something that makes you feel negative or makes you, like you don't have to tell about the worst time of your life. You also don't have to show up with no makeup. Like you don't have to do that. But what you need to do is create an emotional connection. Stories is one of the best way to do that. And you have probably about 17 stories just from today that you could share with someone to feel more trust and connection. So if you can take that connective copy and combine it with a real high problem that people are looking to solve or a real high dream that they're looking to hit, that tends for us to be the sweet spot when it comes to ads, you know?
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like, and I don't know if this is my own judgment, but there was this era when ads were like exploding, and I feel like you and I remember it because you've been OG
Yes.
for so freaking long. And I feel like it got, I don't know if this is my own healing I need to do, so you can just call me on my own podcast, but I feel like sometimes it gets a little too like, okay, so for example, in my career coaching years, I was a career coach for 12 years. I had a booming practice, whatever. I feel like the amount of ads that were like, I was stuck in a job and I hated
Hmm.
it, and now I have 500K a year and I work 10 hours a week.
Right.
It was so freaking trite. And I don't know, I'm not huge on personality tests, but my Enneagram is a 4, which
Yeah.
those of you who know Enneagram, like the biggest wound of a 4 is like, don't copy me or don't be like everybody else. I hate being like everybody. There's something about it from the creative inside of me. I think at Wise Whisper, when we're crafting so many TEDx talks with people and booking so many people, it's like I'm neurotic about that. I'm like, these have to be different. Everyone is an imprint of that
Yes.
person's soul. And so I do feel like sometimes when it comes to ads and messages and brand and social media content, that we are so trite and it's like, get out. So I have my own
Yes.
thoughts on like how to capture different thoughts, but I'm just curious from your perspective, like you kind of gave us a formula. It's like sharing a moment in time and relating to the person on how you got out of that moment. Where are some places that people's minds can go as they're listening to us right now to not actually put pressure on themselves, but really be original? Because I think there's that feeling of like, oh, I feel so good about this. This is me. This is my heart. This is my soul. This is what I have to say. I'm not just copying and pasting.
Yep.
Yeah, like helping people get into their voice.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So, and this really does come down to, so it's really about mindfulness. Oh, this is a long way to a ham sandwich, so bear with me, right? Like
Yeah.
for me, this is a mindfulness practice that has that I put into my business that helps me show up with really good copy for ads or something like that, right? And ads, I will say, the ads are a tricky beast, right? Like, you're putting 700 of them out there to see which one converts, and like the trite one converts, and you're like, like, so you be gentle with yourself and knowing that you're playing someone else's game when it comes to paid advertising, right? And like that is why it is really important to have organic advertising as well, because you can be much more in control of what converts when it comes to organic. So you're playing someone else's game, right? So you're trying to, it's like the health system in like the States. You're playing someone else's game and you're trying to work within kind of a rigged system, like, so you are making the best of it, or you move somewhere else out of the States, right? Like, same with like, you either do Facebook ads, or if you're like, I don't want to play this game, you move somewhere else for paid advertising, right? So I will caveat it with that. Like, there is a reality that comes there. That being said, when you're creating your content and you want it to feel so unique and original. And we're just talking about pieces of content that kind of stop someone, that get someone to feel seen and heard and connected with you. I believe that is when you start to create your stories that are deeper and deeper and deeper into your own specific details, right? Because if you could say, like I could say, hey, I'm a mom that only works, 2 hours a week and makes $1 million and blah, 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 right? But if I can go into like, hey, I am I'm an Enneagram 3, right? So like I'm an Enneagram 3. And every single time I wake up in the morning, I want to throw my alarm clock out the window. Like I am the night owl of all night owls, and I hate it. I wish I was a morning person because I love mornings just as much as any morning person does, but my body does not. And I start to tell you more about me and about the little quirks about who I am, or the quirks about my day, like, or the quirks about the office that I'm sitting in, right? Like, no one else in the world has this office. No one else, right? No one else can see the crack coming down the wall that I always wonder about. Like, is this house going to fall down? And then it triggers all my insecurities about this thing that happened with my dad when we were playing soccer when I was 4 years old at the park around the street called Las Flores, right? No one else has those experiences. No one else has this room. No one else has this body. No one else is waking up in my bed across the way in the sheets that I bought off of Amazon and really hate and want to replace, right? Like, no one else has that story. And so if you can get into the details and recognize that your story is so unique, just the way you woke up this morning is unique, and you are brave enough to share those things with people, they feel such a connection and a trust with you. And that is what makes your content different than somebody else's. And a lot of the time, it's not that we're not willing to share that. A lot of the time, we either don't feel like it's valuable or unique. And I will tell you, the most valuable thing you can do is make someone feel seen and heard and share that moment with them. But the second thing is we skip over them. We don't pause in our day to recognize, why am I writing with an orange marker? Like, why don't I have a pen on my desk? Man, this is the life of a mom entrepreneur with the wrong color, cap on this orange marker. Like, we don't stop and see those moments because we're so busy. Go, 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 accomplish, produce, project manage. And I think that if this is where it turns into this moment of mindfulness, right? And every single time I go and wash my hands, I do a check-in. So every time I go to the bathroom, I wash my hands and I look in the mirror and I breathe and I say, whew, are we here? Are we here? Are we on this earth? Are we seeing it all? And every single time I'm not. So just if anybody's like, oh, you're so mindful. No, I'm not. I have to check in with my body every single moment I go to the bathroom. Every single moment I have these breaths and I check in and I just recenter. And I think that if we can do that more often, we see more things in our day. We're more mindful of the color of the candle sitting next to us, and we can realize what that means to us and how that feels. And we have all of these beautiful stories and all of these beautiful experiences in these micro moments of our days. And the more we share those, and some people are meant to share those and some people are not, that's okay. But if you're an entrepreneur, you're looking to create content that is not trite, that is unique, then I guarantee if you start being more mindful of these micro moments and you share them, you will create so much connection,
Yeah, it reminds me, my favorite quote in the whole world around creativity is Martin Scorsese. He says, what's most personal is most creative. And it's like, too many people are like, how do we be relatable? And I'm like, you don't have to ask yourself that question. You don't have to say, how do I make this relatable? Instead, say, what's deeply personal? What's a moment that's so personal that really shows the inflection point here, right? Because when we're selling something, especially if it's a service that creates results, there was an inflection point that gets you to sell that thing, right? I was here, then I was there, bringing people into a personal moment that things moved, that things changed. Okay, I know we have been at it for a while. I would love to just hear, what did I not ask you that I should have asked you, or that maybe you think would be a good way to cap this conversation off?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. I don't think you didn't ask me anything. I love this conversation. I feel like we could sit and chat for hours, and that's why we're going over on time, because we're like, we could talk about how this relates to your bottom line and also makes you feel like a more mindful human. It's like the win-win combination, so I think we covered most stuff.
Oh, well, thank you again for coming on the show. Where can everybody go and learn more from you? I know the Whiskey and Work podcast is popping, so hopefully everybody heads on over there. But anywhere else that you suggest everybody goes?
I mean, they can come to my website over at kelseymurphy.com. I have a little freebie I can give them if that's worthwhile.
Let's do it.
Yeah, if you go to kelseymurphy.com/best stories, I will give you some of the best stories that you can start using in your content, in your copy, in your messaging to start to create this connection, this relatable piece of your business that converts into clients, that converts into helping people take action, whether that's to join a program, join a coaching package. It's a really cool way to start finding the stories in your day. So if you go to kelseymurphy.com/best stories, you can find it there.
Thank you again for coming on. Thanks for tuning in to the U-Turn podcast. I hope you learned so much in this episode and you're putting it into action today. We would love to hear from you. Slide into my DMs at Ashley Stahl or leave a written review if you're inspired. It would mean so much to us. Be sure to subscribe to the show because, as you know, the more subscribers we get, the better the guests we can bring you. And in the meantime, if you're looking to skyrocket your personal brand and impact millions, head on over to wisewhisperagency.com to learn more about how we can help you craft your greatest talk of your life, how we can help you get booked on some of the biggest stages in the world, even the TED or TEDx stage. We'd love to hear from you, and that's it for this week.
Late night trying to solve. Always think you know it all, been thinking about you up against that wall. It's too late, I fell on the free fall. Holding ground, no hearts, cause it's good. I'm holding ground, no, it's good. Holding ground, no, late night drive. What you trying to do tonight? I swear you don't even try. Yeah, you still look stupid fine. Wish I can try and make you mine, but I don't think you like guys. I don't think you like guys. I don't think I should try. I guess it's time to give up.